So, Rach, we obviously love doing the pod. We absolutely love it. We love talking about all things football. Can't really go over the fact that we're very disappointed about this result. This was not the end of the tournament that we wanted. It was not the end of the tournament we necessarily expected, but we knew this could go either way. I mean, the stats going into this tournament, Spain were better at this tournament at pretty much everything. Better at pass completion, better at number of passes, better at shots on target, better on shots generally, better at possession. They beat England in all of the stats coming into this competition.
What about goals scored?
Goals scored as well. Yeah, they were on
By
17 and we were on 13.
Wow.
So, yeah, every single big major stat,
of course, they played
Spain
Switzerland.
were the biggies. So, Spain coming away with this 1-0 win. Carmona scoring in the 29th minute. It was a pretty bloody decent...
Oh my God. That is fucking Infantino on the screens here. I shit you not. He's literally like God or the devil or something.
The man just
peering
pops
down
up at the most inappropriate moment, so the most inappropriate shit. And just to give a bit of context, I think we are both at the stadium at the moment, just finished our work in the media centre, so we are literally recording live in the aftermath of everything that's gone on today. So if you hear any weird noises in the background,
It's Infantino.
that is why.
It's all Infantino, all the noises.
But let's get back to Spain.
Sorry.
In the last 2 years, they have won the under-17s, the under-20s, and now a senior World Cup. So they are concentrating and focusing on their talent pathways in a big way. And now having this major win just kind of cements that. But do you think Spain were the worthy winners today?
Yes.
I think that's fair.
I do think they were the worthy winners. However, I wouldn't have said that they were unreal. I thought they played better, and I thought England didn't play well, especially in the first half. I thought that the back three would actually be useful against Spain. It wasn't. They were able to overload a lot on the wings, and I thought the likes of Lucy Bronze, and I don't want to put it on her because she knows that goal came from a mistake that she made. She knows that. She doesn't need to be told that, but it was an example of where the back three can actually fall down. And watching Spain make that immediate decision when they saw Lucy take off up the pitch on an adventure, lose possession in the middle of the park and not come back, basically not burst her ass to get back, the speed at which they switched the play to the space that she had left was incredible, and it's exactly where the goal came from. So in terms of I thought first half Spain were definitely the better team, played really well. I thought the formation change worked for England, and in terms of the second half, I thought the second half was a bit scrappy. I don't think either team really played that well. England did have chances in that first half. They had chances early on. They hit the crossbar.
Yeah.
There were moments you're like, oh my God, like that could have been your opportunity. But yeah, I think for how, I wouldn't even say, not to say for how well they played. They did play well, Spain, but I do think they only scored one goal, which I just can't get my head around with Spain, is how few goals they actually score when they should be scoring them. But yeah, look, they were the better team on the day, and it's a shame that I just feel like England didn't really turn up. They got really easily frustrated,
Yeah.
That kind of thing, and the occasion did not seem to faze Spain at all.
Well, I think these kind of games turn on a moment, and I think there were so many moments that, missed opportunities that we had, obviously with the crossbar, but also towards the back end of the second half, when we were the back end of the first half, when we were trying to get that equaliser, which would have been the absolute prime time to get that, to go into the break all square. That's exactly what you want, mentality-wise, to know that actually you've not got an uphill battle, you've got an even playing field when you're coming back out into that pitch. And I think you can see what England were trying to do in trying to get that goal back, but there was a missed opportunity, and I know it ended up being offside, but Ella Toone had wandered offside, but also the ball was kind of whipped in, and then she just didn't get on the end of it. And I think that kind of summed up that there didn't seem to be that kind of like spark. There was just a bit missing, I think, with England today. And I don't necessarily think that was formation. I don't necessarily think that was the players. I mean, everyone expected, I think, to have the three at the back and then to have the wing backs, and that was what Spain expected us to set up as. I mean, they knew that was going to be an area of weakness in those pockets of space that both Daly and Bronze were going to leave when they pushed on, and that's exactly what happened. And I think I hope that there's not a lot of criticism given to Jess Carter, who I think did her absolute best in that situation. And also the second half, the tackle, the sliding timely interceptions that she was putting in must have saved at least 2 or 3 goals towards the end. But I mean, Rach, talk to me, because obviously Serena has been sort of fairly inconsistent with the use of subs, not bringing them on to the 80th minute, bringing on some at sort of 70th minute. But I think what we saw in this game was obviously things weren't going to plan from the 45th minute. So Serena changed things up at half time, bringing on Lauren James and Chloe Kelly for Rachel Daly and also Alessia Russo. I mean, and then changing over to the back four. I mean, do you think that was the right thing to do? And if not, then what would you have done differently?
Well, first of all, I think credit to Sarina Wiegman for making such a bold choice so early on in the game at half-time. You know, we were all wondering, are they going to bring on subs in the 60th minute? What's going to change? Not only did they bring on subs at half-time, they changed the formation, and I actually think the change of formation was more effective. The issue I had was that we then technically just didn't have an out-and-out striker on the pitch, your classic number 9 on the pitch. I thought it was unusual to take off both Daly and Russo. I thought if you were going to go to a back four, you could have either taken off Russo and put Daly up front, or it didn't seem to kind of make sense to me, because then when we were finally with that change in formation, getting crosses into the box, there was nobody there on the end of them. At one point, Hemp was playing a number 9, and sure, she couldn't get on the end of them. She just wasn't tall enough. It's not her kind of remit. So England looked more comfortable in that formation, and again, I think that's, for a team to be able to change formation in the middle of a game is impressive. But I just felt like it had got to the point where they were getting really stressed about not getting the goal back, and I think that was showing. I also think, this is not why England lost, but I thought the ref was really poor. There were a couple of really surprising decisions. Lauren Hemp got a yellow card for nothing. Pariuelo should have been sent off. She should have got a second yellow because she intentionally kicked the ball away and the ref bottled it. And there was Lauren James was bodied at one point and absolutely taken out. So was Lauren Hemp. I thought the referee was letting things way too much go and missing stuff. And that was a bit frustrating because this is the biggest stage and we should have the best refs. So that was a bit unfortunate.
Bring back Stephanie Frappart. Where was she?
With her little voice. But to be fair, it's not like I think they were necessarily game-changing decisions, although had Pariuelo gone off, that could have been an interesting one. But yeah, I'm not saying it in a kind of the ref is why England lost. That's not the situation. England didn't play as well as they should have.
Well, we need something to blame, surely.
Okay,
come on.
If you want.
It wasn't VAR wasn't really involved in the game,
except for the handball.
Except for the handball, which was a handball. We don't really have any other kind of excuses for it. But
Thanks for that. Just like nice gentle door close. Fucking hell. That's Tina's fault.
England fans leaving after the game. I think Spain tactically got it right. They knew the areas to exploit, and also even things like they anticipated things that were going to happen in that game. I think everyone kind of knew or suspected that Lauren James would be coming into the game at some point, and as soon as she was on the pitch, what they did was man-mark the absolute living daylights out of her.
Literally, physically, had their arms around her. I have the photos.
Everything. So that within about 5 or 10 minutes of her being on the field, she'd been fouled horrendously, like twice in the space of like a really short space of time. And I think what that was trying to do was almost give us a sort of like Nigeria part 2. Like they see how she reacts, like that she's just come back into the fold, that she, will want to take things a little bit sort of, that she does have a bit of a hot head, that she might sort of react to situations. And you could see maybe them just sort of playing on that. So like even very fine tweaks, it just felt like they kind of had the upper hand with us on everything. And like even looking back over the stats at the end of the game, again, pass completion, shots, possession, shots on target, they beat us in every single area.
Only one goal.
Still only the one goal.
I just don't get it.
But I do think that's credit to the defensive work that was put. I mean, Jess Carter, without Jess Carter there and the interceptions she made, it would have been at least 3-0.
Jess Carter has been England's player of the tournament, right?
Do you reckon?
Yeah, I think we've talked a bit about, Alex Greenwood has had a good tournament.
Yeah.
I think she was brilliant today.
Also recover quickly, Alex. Like you took an absolute blow to the head today.
Yeah,
looked really nasty.
And they just bandaged her up and put her back on again.
Yeah.
Lauren Hemp has been superb as well. But I think Jess Carter has seriously come into her own in this tournament. She's been absolutely unreal. We spoke a little bit before we recorded about Mary Earps and some of her really crucial saves that she's made in this tournament. Jess Carter has made some absolutely crucial tackles. Her 1v1 defending is like one of the best bar none. Her speed, the kind of recovery tackles she's made.
The speed, I think,
she's
I was like, I didn't
unbelievable.
see that speed in like with her, like in other internationals that she's played in. Like I just, that seemed to have escalated. Everything that I kind of saw as a weakness in Jess, it feels like she has worked on, and now we're at a stage where she seems like a really robust, like someone that you wouldn't have any concerns with at all.
Yeah, she's absolutely in my team of the tournament, and for me, I think I'm going to say England's best player in the tournament.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, so what do we think about Mary Earps taking away the Golden Glove? Because you kind of had a bit of controversial thoughts on that. My view was absolutely well deserved. I was like, she hasn't been massively present in every single game, but every time she has been called to action, she has completely done a perfect job. Some of the saves that she's pulled off, we wouldn't have got into this position in the tournament had it not been for her. I think everyone sort of like harps back to that one sort of like looping David Seaman type error, and to me that's not an error. I've looked back over that a couple of times and I don't think it's that obvious an error, but bar that, she's not put a foot wrong. All the goals that have been scored in this tournament, again, or that England have conceded, have been unsavable, in my opinion, unsavable. So she's not put a foot wrong. And also, she's been an absolute legend at the start of the tournament, raising all this stuff about goalkeeper kits not being on sale, and now that's going to be a conversation that hopefully herself and a number of other goalkeepers will be picking up. So,
well, yeah, she's just gone and won the bloody Golden Glove at a World Cup. Like, what more does she have to do?
She's
so
the best.
The thing is, by me saying that I didn't think she was going to get Golden Glove doesn't mean I don't think she had an absolutely unreal tournament.
That's
I think she was amazing.
Very harsh.
Before this game, I was giving it to Sachira Musovic.
Also a worthy
because
contender.
I think, like Mary Earps, the saves she made got them to where they got to in this tournament.
Yeah.
That she's the main reason that they got there. So beforehand, like, that's when we were thinking, team of the tournament, that's who we were thinking of putting in goal. And that is no in any way disrespect to Mary Earps, because she's had an absolutely phenomenal tournament. But that's who I would have picked. But I think it's also really awkward when you have those and the players aren't here.
Okay, so your player of the tournament is going to England's player of the tournament is going to Jess Carter.
England player of the tournament,
and your keeper player of the tournament is going to Sachira Musovic.
Yeah, Sachira Musovic, and I think Aitana Bonmati was, that's a fair player of the tournament trophy to give.
Talking of which, a friend of the pod, Amy Ruski, tweeted that Bonmati's Ballon d'Or is in the post and that this is an inevitable win for her this year. She picked up player of the tournament, got that Golden Ball award, and rightly so. We've done nothing but talk about her, and I think obviously I think going into the tournament I do think a lot of attention and press coverage was always going to be about Putellas and when she was going to come back in, and the fact that she was going to make these starts and kind of captain Spain to glory and things. But actually what's developed is that, and she looked really fucked off actually towards the end, like when I think England were doing some stuff and like the ball was out of play but she wasn't allowed onto the pitch, and obviously every single minute that she wasn't allowed on, she was getting more and more worked up because she only had about 5-6 minutes of game time and made very little impact. But I think throughout this tournament that is a theme that we have seen. I know it sounds really harsh, but
it does.
The Spanish team don't need Putellas.
This guy, same guy.
He feels the same way.
He's just really angry about Putellas.
It's like it's an open shut door.
It's an open and fucking slam door is what it is. Okay, that's fair, but I think like you could take a player, any of those players, out of that Spanish team, and that Spanish team would still be unreal.
I agree. So absolutely.
I said this to you previously. I think Putellas is still finding her feet coming back from injury, and I think to expect her to be one of their out and out best players at this tournament, it probably wasn't going to happen. But also the kind of pressure's off her as well, because she doesn't have to be. She's surrounded by this raw talent. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I think the one thing I was thinking of while watching them lift that trophy was the likes of your Mappy Leons, and the other players sat at home and probably not watching it. Maybe they are watching it, I don't know, but sat at home and they should be here lifting that trophy. And instead, the Spanish team were lifting Jorge Vilda and throwing him in the air. I was praying they'd drop him, they didn't. And then you also the president of the federation. Oh my God, honest to God, smooching every single player's cheek. It was so weird. Like, it wasn't like it, when you go cheek to cheek, it was a full-on long smoochy thing on each cheek.
Stop going over it. People don't need to
was
hear
trying
that
to
noise.
get in the bloody trophy celebration. He was insisting on being the one to hand. The Queen of Spain was there, wasn't she? That was the Queen, right? Princess. Yeah. Some royalty. Obviously, England's royalty would never. But she was there. And not only was she there, she was handing out the medals, hugging all the players. She was then, I think, meant to give the players the trophy. Mm-hmm. Infantino wouldn't let it go. He insisted on coming over with her. And all of us photographers were like, get the fuck out of the shot. This is not your moment. But she was there. She was there with the celebrations. They bounced around with her, waving the trophy in the air. She had a shirt. She was waving around. I thought it was so cool that she came all the way out here to support her team.
What a lovely monarch that is.
Yeah, wow. But yeah, just some of the... And then the Spanish Federation have gone and tweeted Vilda in, talk about being so tone deaf. It's disgusting.
It's probably the worst tweet I've seen all tournament. And there have been some humdingers, but that is by far the most fly in the face of everything that this tournament is about that you can possibly imagine. But I think to bring it back to the positives around Spain, bring it back to the players in this tournament. I mean, Jenny Hermoso also getting the award today. Salma Paraluelo every time. Paraluelo. Won the young player of the tournament. We've not even drunk anything.
Yet.
Won the young player of the tournament. Do you think that she, after Bonmati gets her Ballon d'Or, obviously next year?
Oh, she's next.
Yeah, 100%. And then the year after, Paraluelo, do you reckon?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah? And then Catacol, I thought, had a really great game. I think Spain probably have that wrapped up for the next 2, 3, 4 years.
This is like just the start. And if they get a decent manager, like, unreal. Look what they can do with that guy. With that
can you
judge.
imagine? Spain with someone decent. No,
I'm glad that they've gotten what they deserve. But I am going to point out that I've seen people say, don't talk about Vilda now, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, no, because it's our responsibility to talk about him, and it's our responsibility to keep highlighting it. And I think far too often, just because people win a football match, we forgive an awful lot of shit. I'm looking at you, Man United. So I'm sorry, but like, we are going to keep talking about it because it needs to keep being talked about. And I think that tweet from the Spanish Federation was a disgrace.
Mate, I could not have summed that up any better. Absolutely perfectly put. There's been a lot of horrendous federations that have taken. I think there's a lot of federations.
They were competing with each other.
It was kind of a tournament of shithousery. Yeah, it was bad, and I can't say for sure who would have got gold, silver, and bronze, but I think Spain are up there for sure. Well, Jorge Vilda is up there
specifically, and the president.
Infantino's got. And
Infantino.
It just dropped an unnecessary bomb this week, and it didn't need to happen, but. Before this game, Serena Wigman assured everyone that she's going nowhere before her contract expires in 2025. Obviously, this would have been another pinnacle on her already absolutely stellar career. There were talks that the US were going to poach her. We spoke to Mark Bullingham earlier on in the week, and he was saying, yeah, if the USA came for her, we'd absolutely reject that. But also at the same time saying that Serena had a good salary that was in line with the market rate, but also not making any real comments of any value about the fact that it was a missed opportunity really for England to pay above the market rate, if not have pay parity.
You've got the best manager in the world,
Gareth Southgate.
Do you know what Gareth Southgate earns? Susie did an article on this.
Oh God, what?
5 million.
Shut the front door.
Do you know what Serena Wigman gets?
It's about 400k.
400,000.
Fuck my life.
Now I know the argument around club football and domestic football is entirely different. It's a business. I get it. Playing for your country is the same job, man or woman, and to think what England have achieved, and she's like, it's one thing not getting equal pay, to be paid that much less is wild. It beggars belief, the kind of justification around this, that it's not that it's the market rate, but the people who determine how much they're going to pay. So normally men of federations and FAs and things like that are determining the market rate and then saying it's the market rate that's still so low. That's the thing that kind of really gets me. Yeah, not great, but I think now I'm gonna find that guy and I'm gonna listen. I'll record it for you. We'll put it in at the end of this episode.
We're losing our minds over here.
Keeps going up and down them stairs. I'll fucking throw him down them. Honest to God.
Please bear with us.
Sorry.
It's the last podcast. We've done so many podcasts. We've spoken so much and been in like so many amazing environments, and we're so disappointed about how this night was supposed to be going. We all wanted that celebratory glass of champagne. We wanted to party with the players. We wanted to get into the mix zone and like get absolutely massive wild quotes about how happy they were
on the table again.
Yeah, we wanted to see Mary Earps dancing, throwing her gloves about. But what we actually saw down the mix zone was no one wanted to speak to us. We got a couple of comments from Lucy Bonds and Jess Carter, and then everyone else was carted away. And Alex Greenwood had to receive some medical attention because she did have a little bit of blood on her head. But
Jesus.
Which is understandable. Completely understand that, Alex. But yeah, the players weren't in the sort of best of moods and looked obviously understandably very upset. So yeah, we didn't manage to speak to them too much, but what we will take away from this is obviously how amazing they have all been throughout this tournament, speaking to us. The performances they've put in have not always been the best, but they have always found a way.
I think they've overachieved.
Yeah.
And I think we were almost worried about speaking too much about the injuries beforehand because we didn't want to appear like we were making excuses, which is what everyone would accuse
Fair.
the media of. But it's literally that was the spine of the team. When you think about the impact that Williamson, Kirby and Mead had on the Euros, and now they're not here. So I actually do think to get to the final, I swear I saw somewhere that Lucy Bronze said everyone had written them off, that they weren't going to get out of the group. Not sure what she was...
Carry on, as you were. Come on, you've got this.
I'm not sure what media that Lucy Bronze was reading, because I think we all pegged them to at least get to the quarterfinals. So
At the very least.
yeah, I think they've overachieved, and I think they can be proud of how they've done with everything they've had to come through, with the fact that they've been like changing formations and like players in, players out, players injured, players red carded, like, you know, I think they could be pretty pleased with themselves. And overall, Chloe, I don't know about you, but it's been a bloody great tournament.
Absolutely.